Oh, there we go.
Ready to go.
Yeah, this
That is so much brighter. Got it.
Okay, so to our meeting on your regular day on Wednesday. I'll point out that Longo was not able to join us tonight. And we're going to start with our budget hearing. Right?
Yes, thank you. So tonight we have our annual budget hearing. This is a hearing that is required under the New York State law, and it will go over what will be presented to the voters on the day of our school elections. So I'll go through the presentation. I'll take any questions at the conclusion of the presentation. We also do have Sarah here from the public library. Their items are also listed within our school elections, and she will do a presentation just informing folks what the library budget will entail and any trustee seats that may be up for election. So the purpose of tonight's hearing is, as I said, it's required under New York State law, and the time frame is very clear in which we need to have our public hearing. It will provide an overview of our proposed 26-27 budget in the three required categories. Up until this point, we've been providing you more of a holistic approach to budgeting, but tonight's hearing will be broken down in all the benefits and every piece that aligns into three different parts: the administrative, the capital, and the program components. We will review the district's tax levy calculation and the allowable limit. We are staying within our tax cap limit, and it will also outline what residents will be voting on, not only our spending plan, but also the one board of education seat that we have up. And we're also asking the voters to allow us to replenish money in our repair reserve using the excess funds from this school year. Tonight, ultimately, whether it's here in person or to view it afterwards online, our purpose is to keep the community informed and let them know exactly what they're voting on, so when they come out to the ballot box, they can make an informed decision. So tonight's presentation will allow us to accomplish the items that are listed here. We are committed to maintaining rigorous academic programs. This budget allows us to provide comprehensive supports for all of our students, both academic interventions, social emotional interventions, and any specialized services that are required across student levels. We are also supporting the investment in curriculum development and professional development for our teachers. This budget will continue to advance our equity and inclusive practices that we have prioritized through our strategic plan. It will allow us to continue to offer the extracurricular activities that are important to our families and students, and you'll hear a little bit more about that when I talk about the feedback we've gotten on our strategic plan. Our extracurricular opportunities in this club for everyone mentality is important to our families and our students. It allows us to maintain student supports and our district operations. We are not looking at any reductions in staff. And then last but not least, it supports the ongoing investment in our facilities and for us to be able to replenish the repair reserve that I'll speak a little bit more about later in the presentation. So the first slide for you tonight has what we are proposing in two different pieces. And the reason we broke this out is because we are asking the board to use some fund balance as a one-time use to offset any short-term borrowing expenses that we may need to incur in order to start our project. So this top budget line here for you is our overall spending plan that we're putting before the public. The proposed budget that we're asking is about $13.9 million. In 2026, our budget is about $12.9 million. The difference is about $1 million with a 7.87% spending increase. I will say that is a little bit higher than normal for our spending increase. That is not the tax levy that we are asking residents to fund. I would remind the public and everyone in Torco that we are asking the board to use about $200,000 in fund balance to offset any expenses that we would incur through our borrowing should we start the project over the summer. When you take that out, because that's not money that we're trying to collect through state aid, it's not money that we're collecting through taxes. When you take that piece out, that is from fund balance, essentially our savings, right? It's a one-time balance. Those are the types of things, one-time use. Those are the kinds of things that you want to use fund balance for. You would not want to use fund balance for recurring costs, but something like this is when we do want to use fund balance. So without that bond anticipation borrowing costs, this is what we are looking at for an increase from year to year to run our building, which is 6.33% increase, which is much more in line with where we've been for increases over the years. So taking out that money, what we're really looking at is about a $13.7 or $13.8 million budget, which is a little bit closer. It's about $800,000 from our draft last year, or a 6.33% increase. Again, that 6.33 is an increase in budget to budget, not what we're asking our tax increase to be. So as I was saying, we have to break our budget into three components, and our three components are program, administration, and capital. Program is the nuts and bolts of our budget. That is teachers, that is everything linked to students, and our program part of the budget is about $10.5 million, which is up about $794,000. A lot of that is linked to contractual obligations. The administrative part of our budget is $1.3 million. That is linked to administration and everything that is connected to administration, right? Like that is, those are salaries that are connected to administrators, that's administrators, and then there's other pieces in there as well. And that's up about $28,000. And then, we did some reallocations too, getting things in the proper lines. So I would just call that as well. And then our capital portion of the budget, which is about about a little over $2 million. And that's up about $198,000. And again, a lot of the costs that we're looking at increases are things that we're obligated to, whether they're contractual, whether they are like contractual with our teachers union or contractual with outside vendors. Increases from BOCES, we utilize BOCES for quite a bit of services. These include things like special education placements. So all of these increases that we're looking at are really increases that we need to encourage to maintain to what we do today. We're not looking at adding positions, we're not looking at reducing positions, we're not looking at major changes. This is really to allow us to continue doing what we're doing, because I think what we have right now is a really strong program. And what we have in place right now is allowing us to grow and meet the needs of our students, but also meet the needs of what we are lining out where we want to be in a couple of years for our strategic plan. We're going to take a look at all three parts. The first one being the administrative component. The administrative component, I started talking a little bit, it provides funding for all of our district management and general support functions. It includes our business office and all of the administrative operations. It covers salaries and benefits. It covers support personnel. It covers our administrative assistants, things like that. It also supports curriculum leadership and district level coordination of those programs. And then also contractual services such as our legal fees are here, our school attorneys, auditing, public information, things of that nature. The increase that you're seeing in this component is due to primarily the onboarding of a treasurer. Mrs. Moran plans to retire in a little over 12 months, and it is important that we are planning for that transition. So one of the pieces that we recommended to the board was bringing on a district treasurer and someone that we believe could have the potential to be elevated over time in the organization. We're trying to grow our own ultimately. Business office managers are really hard to find. Our businesses really are, there's far and few between. So we took the approach that we will try to grow our own instead of trying to go out and recruit somebody when the time came. And that's really what you're going to see in that increase. And it's really around long-term planning. And we're grateful to the board that they were willing to go out and do this so that we are well positioned. Business office management is one of the most important positions within the district. They're responsible for most of our financial transactions that happen, and they oversee a lot of that. And it's just important as schools that we have somebody well-versed and experienced in that role. The other piece I'll say is that this is the component of the budget, and if our budget was not to be successful, that we cannot exceed the prior year's amount. So for some reason, we put this vote out to our public, they came back and said no, and we have some options if that would happen, but if we ever went to a contingent budget, this is a place where we are not allowed to see any decreases, and we'd have to have some conversation here about how we're going to get there. The administrative component is broken out for you. We have been looking at these, remember, over time, we've been looking at each of these pieces, we implement all of the benefits have been divided out. So these are true holistic costs of what the administrative component costs the district. So what you're going to see here are there aren't significant increases. The one increase that you are going to see is around 13.61%, and again, that's the just your treasurer coming on board. We have always had a second person in the business office. They just weren't a treasurer. They were more of like an account clerk, which is just a different rate of pay, and that's why you're gonna see the difference there. And that is the big increase that you're gonna see in this. And overall though, when you look at it from year to year, it's about a 2.12% increase. The next piece is our program overview. So our program component is all of the expenditures that directly relate to students. So anything that directly impacts the student day, the student program, that falls under our program component of the three-part budget. This includes salary and benefits for all of our teachers and all of our instructional staff. So anyone who works with students. It also includes tuition for our instructional programs. This is where you find the spending for all of our high school tuitions, any of our special education tuition, any tuition that we pay out that is found here as well for students that attend here or attend somewhere else. It also includes all student transportation costs, both in and out of districts. This includes here, special education runs, private school runs, charter school runs, any transportation that we provide to any district resident. And this also supports our athletics and extracurriculars that are all found here. What you're going to see the increase in this component primarily driven by is contractual obligations. And then the projected cost for transportation, we are looking at a CPI increase, and health insurance. I would also add here that we have consumable materials, and this will be a continuing cost for the new curricular programs that we have purchased to support students. We've always had consumable costs, they are now just directed in a different way. So again, this is the breakdown for the program component. You've seen this, you're just seeing it broken out piece by piece. You're going to see that all of our salaries are about 7.32% increase. Most of those are contractual in nature. Our equipment line is down a little bit. We did look, Joanne keeps a detailed spreadsheet of spending over time. We felt comfortable bringing this down about 13%. We have contractuals, materials, and supplies. You're going to see two big pieces here are our tuition for regular education and special education students. We've been talking about the costs of special education placements are incredibly high. They just are. Students need incredibly specialized programs and they come at a cost. So you're going to see an increase there. This is something that tends to fluctuate in our district. There have been years where we've seen those costs come down based on maybe a family leaving, and then we can also see them turn around and increase just as quickly based on families that move here. Our instructional support services through BOCES, our extracurriculars, you're going to see transportation, school transportation is in here, and that is up about, I apologize, actually pool transportation is coming up right around 3%, which I think is a pretty conservative estimate, and then our benefits and inter-fund transfers are here as well for you. The piece that I will share around benefits and any opportunity that I think at this point that we have to thank the business office in this effort. The business office worked very closely with me to investigate ways to control our insurance costs. And the business office worked very hard to get us into a trust, the full amount trust, and that will allow us to manage costs for health insurance, not only for the district, but also for the employee. We were looking at close to a 20% increase in insurance costs going into next year. And instead, our insurance costs are going to be relatively flat. It says it goes down by 2.61%, but it's relatively flat for us. It's going down by about $40,000, but when we're looking at a $1.5 million expenditure. And the fact that it's going down, first of all, is fantastic, but we were able to keep that flat instead of looking at a pretty hefty increase. The other piece that I would add is that our change in insurance did not change the level of coverage or the level of the strength of the plan that we offer to employees. And then the last but not least, our inter-fund transfers. It's 8.33%, but we're looking at $5,000. The number there is pretty small. The next piece is the capital overview. For this component, if you think about capital, it's our buildings and grounds. Any expenses, any contracts related to building and grounds, all of our salaries for custodial and maintenance staff. Our debt service obligations are also found in this piece. And then last but not least, any inter-fund transfers that we may have. The increases that you're going to see are really due to the short-term borrowing that we will need to do if we are able to start the project sooner. We're still waiting on approval from the state education department. But if that comes, we want to be able to position ourselves to start as soon as possible. everything is getting more expensive, it's not getting less expensive. So the sooner you bid, the sooner you buy products, none of those costs are coming down, so there is a benefit to starting sooner than later when we're able to, and we just wanna make sure that we are positioned to do so if that opportunity presents itself. If it doesn't present itself, we just won't move that money out of fund balance. You know, it's not like it's tax dollars collected, it just remains in our savings account. When the time comes for short-term borrowing, it'll be there waiting for us. The capital component is broken down for you similarly. Salaries, equipment, again, it looks like a big number, but it's $4,500, it's down 25%. It's not large dollar amounts. You are gonna see a little bit of, a 16%, 7% increase in gas and electric. That correlates to $19,000. Those are costs that are outside of our control. And then we have our bonds, and this is where that bond anticipation, we're gonna see 100% increase. We don't carry that cost every year. And that's at $207,000. And then employee benefits, you're gonna see a little bit of an increase. I don't know why.
It's not 100%.
But it is $3,400 increase in employee benefits there. They've always had benefits available to them. That's not a new cost. So overall, the capital component is going up by about 10%. A large portion of that is that short-term borrowing, which is a one-time expense. Revenues. The state budget is still not finalized, but we felt confident in the revenues that we are presenting to you here. The things that are holding up the state budget, I'm happy to report, are not education related. So where we stand, we feel pretty confident where we are today. So we are looking at a 2.01% change in property taxes. That is our tax cap. I want to thank the board for staying within the tax cap. It's 2%. It's only about $160,000, and we're looking at how to manage costs. That's not a lot of money in a $13 million budget. When we're looking at a 6.33% increase, but staying within that 2.01%, particularly this year, when residents are going to face other increases, was really important, and we were able to accomplish that. We do have our pilots in here. We do have a couple of pilots on the books, including Regeneron, NHS, formerly Simmons. So we do have some pilots on there, and remember those are payments in lieu of taxes. Those are, we don't tax them at that rate. They have both summer payments that have been negotiated and agreed upon with the village. We have our interest in earnings. We continue to make some money through our investments with our money that remains in accounts. Refund from prior year, that's money that comes back from BOCES. We have that at about $68,000. So that remains. Tuitions from other schools, this is our tuitions that we collect through the Riverside program. The piece that I will remind folks here is that our tuitions from other schools is about $750,000. In bringing these programs on, one of the things that we talked about was we wanted to be able to educate our students within our school building and not rely on outside placements, which are costly and then you have to transport to, right? And it's best for our kids and our families to be educated as close as possible to home. This increase of the money, the revenue for $750,000 is because we collect tuitions from other schools that fill our open seats. We don't fill all of our seats. So we tuition to other districts, and that is the revenue that is generated. The piece that I will add to you, is that this tuition was able to cover the cost of the additional staff members that we brought on. Through this program, we brought on a full-time speech therapist. We brought on 2 more special education teachers. We brought on an occupational therapist, a speech teacher, and I think it was probably 6 or 7 aides, right? Yeah. We brought on quite a bit of staff. We were able to cover the costs of those staff through these tuitions. So while they are revenues that we have coming in, those monies have been dedicated to offset the costs so that we can provide these programmings without passing any costs on to the taxpayers. Commissions and miscellaneous donations, they're always a small piece of this, like our gym rental for outside organizations. Our BOCES aid is up about $460,000. A lot of that, we have some building aid in there. And we are a hold harmless district, so we get the set 2% increase. Medicaid, we do some billing to Medicaid for services that we provide for students with special education needs. There are very specific services that we can bill for. It's not just entire program. This things like speech and language services. We have our debt service transfers, and then we are continuing to recommend that we use about $900,000 in fund balance to offset our spending and to balance our budget. It is a little bit higher this year because we are using the $207,000 for the debt service should be removed. So overall, our spending increase is 7.87%, but on actual program, just doing what we're trying to do for the previous year, it's around 6%. Our tax cap calculation is up here for informational purposes. We want to make sure that that is part of our budget hearing. Should somebody come back and want to take a look at that, we've talked about our tax cap calculation each meeting in depth, and we have 5 years worth of tax cap calculations. The thing that I will call your attention to is we've been at 2.9, 2.2, 0.2, 4.1, and 2.01. With the exception of last year, our tax cap number is usually that 2% or lower. And the piece that I would add is that the board has really been committed to remaining at that level where possible. So what our families and what our community members are going to know is, what does this mean for my home? So if we look at a home that is $250,000, we are looking at a 2.01% or about $13.20 per month. The piece that I will remind the board is that in August, we're going to get our assessments through the town of Colony. That is not something that we have any control over. We get our assessments from the town of Colony, and that will determine what our tax rate will actually be. We are looking at a 2.01 increase, but keep in mind, if assessments in the village go up, the rate will decrease. If assessments in the village go down, this rate will increase. And I think 2 meetings ago, I had provided some historical information about where our assessments and our rates had landed. We have been in a really positive trend. Our assessments in the village tend to go up, which means this rate goes down, but that is not something that we will know until August. So what will we be asking our voters to vote on? The first one is our proposed school budget of $13.997,420 million. This budget is within the tax cap at 2.01%. It requires a 50% plus 1 vote, a simple majority vote. And as I said, it remains within the 2.01 tax levy limit. On the ballot is also the election of 1 Board of Education member. We have 1 open seat, and we have 1 person who submitted a petition, Mr. Patrick Smaxton. In addition, we are asking for the authorization to increase the repair reserve. The repair reserve is essentially a savings account that we have for emergency repairs. We have gone into our repair reserve twice now in the last couple of years related to HVAC issues. We replaced the HVAC unit over this library, and then we also replaced the one over the district office because they just simply stopped working. Our units are older. We are addressing a lot of that through our building project. Unfortunately, they just wouldn't hang on. So we have spent some money from that repair reserve. We need authorization from the voters to put that money back into the repair reserve, and we're asking them to do that on the ballot. Based on what's available. At the end, when we close out, when we talk about where we're in our fund balance, right? At the end of the year, one of the things that we would like to do is put some money into our repair reserve, but we need to first get approval from the voters. This is one of the pieces that the board can't simply approve in the voter approval. We will also have the proposed library budget and the election of 1 library trustee on the ballot as well. Sarah is here from the library, and she will provide some more detail and be able to answer questions regarding those 2 pieces. I can share with you, we always need to talk about if the vote is not successful. If we do not get our simple majority vote, the district has a couple of options. The first one is that we can present the same or revised budget to our taxpayers and have them vote again. The second thing that we can do is we can go right to a contingent budget without a revote. If our budget gets voted down, we can go straight to a contingent budget, but I will say there are limits on certain expenditures, including equipment materials, and we talked about that administrative component. After 2 unsuccessful votes, we put out our first vote, it goes down. You put out a second budget proposal, and that goes down. If we have 2 failed votes, then we are required to adopt a contingent budget. And then under a contingent budget, the tax levy cannot exceed the prior year. There has to be a 0% tax increase. So we have to get to that place, should both of our budgets go down. What do we do now? The first thing that I'll ask you to do is encourage family and friends to vote. The voting happens here at Menands School on May 19th, which is a Tuesday evening, from 12 to 8 p.m. It'll be right out in district office. Encourage any of your neighbors to come out and vote. The second piece I'll say is that we have our absentee or mail-in ballots. They are available through the district clerk, Ms. Tricia O'Connell. So if you're unable to come vote in that day, or you would like an absentee ballot, they can be secured through Ms. O'Connell. Absentee ballots though have to be received by 5 p.m. in district office. Voting goes on till 8. Absentees have to be here by 5 p.m. So if you know of anybody voting by absentee ballot, please remind them 5 p.m. they have to be here at the school. For questions around any of these pieces, I would encourage them to reach out to Ms. O'Connell through email or through her extension at 101. She is great about getting absentee ballots into the hands of folks. I believe they get personal delivery from Ms. O'Connell. But again, and we do reinforce in that time as well. They have to be back by 5 p.m. But our polls are open from 12 to 8. That is also the same evening as our evening of the arts. So we'll also encourage folks that attend that night to come out and vote on our items here. You can go back a page because I know that I talked about it and I did not. I will edit this before we put it up. No, never mind. I apologize. I'm wrong. Go ahead, go for it. So questions or comments, again, this is exactly where you can vote. Our voting is in person here, Tuesday, May 19th, 12 to 8, district office. It'll be clearly labeled out front. Ms. O'Connell and the group of folks that you appointed at the last meeting will be there to help folks as they come in to vote, and we'll be able to run our election that evening. Questions or comments from the board or the public?
The only question I have is not super related to passing a budget amount, but we're getting close to summer. What is the latest that we could get as the approval for our capital project and still actually projected this year? Because the plan was if we get it early enough, we can get up to bid and start work this summer, right? So we're starting to get kind of close to that date and have a date in your mind of when we would have to pull it and say, okay, not till next year.
So I think at this point, we could start more foundation-based work out back. I would say that would probably look more at the summer at this point in time. I would say give us another 4 to 6 weeks, and I think we might be past that point.
Yeah, work makes sense for this
Yeah.
year, so, okay.
I will say though, that initially when we put this project in front of voters, we weren't looking at starting until the following year.
Right, we wouldn't be
So,
behind.
We're not behind, but we could potentially miss the window to start early, just because New York State weather, right? Like the fall is gonna be our sweet spot to do some of that work. And the work that we want schools to do would be in the area of the addition. We can't do work in the school or in the schools. Right. Other questions? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna turn it over to Sarah from the library for her to share the presentation from the library. Thank you for being here tonight, Sarah.
Alright, so my name is Sarah Cummings. I'm the director over at the Public Library. I'm just gonna go over a real quick presentation on our budget for this upcoming year. What is not noted on our slides is that we do have one trustee position open. She is running again. It is a post's position. She took a short abbreviated one when we needed somebody quickly and is now running for re-election. So real quick, just gonna go over what the library provides for anybody who doesn't know at this point where we are. It says books, ebooks, audiobooks. We also have DVDs and board games and video games and audiobooks and picture books with audios attached to them so you can read along. Lots of different ways to get literacy into hands. We also provide programs for children, teen, adults, and general family programming. There is 5 computers in the building. We also have free Wi-Fi that extends into the parking lot, as well as outdoor seating, so that way if we are closed, you do have access to the internet. And we do offer at least 3 different tech help sessions during the week, and also if you walk in and have issues, we will help you. We do a lot of community events. We've been working with the village, we work with the farmers market, and we work with the school frequently, as well as the PTA. And then we have some unique things like the museum passes and the library of things, which is again our board games and like a waffle iron and an ice cream machine, just things that like you need once in a while and you don't want to have to store in your kitchen. Quick run of our statistics from last year. We saw over 7,700 people physically in the building. Checkout was over 15,000 items, and that was just physical items. Digital was up to about 5,000. We offered over 200 programs throughout the year, including our summer reading and our Christmas and Diwali parties. In those programs, we had almost 4,000 people attend in and out of the library just for that. And in our 5 computers that we track, we had about 1,100 sessions. And that does not include anybody who brings in their computers and uses Wi-Fi on their own. We are this year asking for a total budget of $314,569. That is not all coming from the tax revenue. We are staying right within our guidelines this year at the 2%, so we are asking for $307,944. This is only a slight increase at about $7,421 this year. And most of the increase will be going to daily operations because everything is getting more expensive. Like I said, our money, about half the budget goes right into staffing. When we increased our hours last fall, well, 2 falls ago now, we brought in an additional clerk, so that way when we increased our hours, we wouldn't have to close when we were out and doing community events. We also brought in someone specifically to help programming for teenagers because they are the hardest group for us to get to come into the library, so we brought in someone to especially work with us on that. And then the rest of it is broken down between our books and digital collection, which is all part of one thing, our programming and community outreach, which is where a lot of the budget increase is going into because all of the costs for all of our supplies have increased. And then the last is building and maintenance. The building is very old. We are looking to work on some major projects, including the foundation, which will include closing for a little while, and we're working on coming up with some other places to do our programming and offer checkout while we're doing that. But the foundation is getting quickly the most important thing to work on. We have a woodchuck who has moved in underneath, unfortunately. Thank you for having me here. I just want to say we are also working on our long-range plan for the next 5 years. So on our website, there is a link to the survey, and if anybody has some time to fill out the survey and help us formulate our plan for the next 5 years, that would be fantastic. Are there any questions?
No, thank you so much for coming out and sharing what the library does. I have a middle school student who was at the library twice this week for your programs.
Yes, she
On
does.
the fidgets, I'm very excited.
Yes. Yeah, I was covered in flour up until about 10 minutes before the meeting, so.
And the crochet club has been great. Middle school students are hard, but they're hard to engage. And I feel like the library's doing a great job at that. Thank you so much. You also do our library is a little alongside compared to some others, but anybody who uses the upper Roxton library system knows that you can order stuff and have it delivered right to minutes. So you might use a lot of things.
Yes, yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. Anything else? All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here.
We are in our regular meeting, and you're absolutely welcome to stay, but you don't have to. So we won't get
I am gonna sneak out.
I did give a thank you when we passed the budget, but for anybody who's, watching this online to hear the information about the budget, I just want to thank again the administration, the district office, the financial department, the staff, everyone who worked on the budget this year. We know it's not an easy thing to do, but it's done properly, and we appreciate all the hard work. And we can call our regular meeting to order, 7:05. Could I get a motion to enter public session?
I'll make a motion to enter public session. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Could I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Jessica,
Here.
Mr. Luke,
Here.
Mr. Smexton,
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
As I noted, one of them is not here tonight. please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Comments from the public on agenda items. A reminder for those members of the public in attendance, this is one of two opportunities afforded to members of the public to comment on and inquire about agenda items. Members of the public will also have an opportunity at the end of the evening to send comments on matters not formally noted on the agenda. If anybody wants to email comments, you can send them to POEcomments@menands.org. Anybody missing on anything? Anyone online?
No comments.
Okay. Move on to item F then, approval of minutes. Could I have a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District accept the minutes of the April 22nd regular meeting and the April 29th special meeting. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item G, communication from the board. We thank you from thank you, Carly, as well for the ad that we placed with that. Item 3, discussion items, superintendent's reports and updates.
So tonight, I just wanted to update the board on the strategic plan and where we are in that process. So the first piece that I will add is that we have concluded the portion of the strategic plan where we have gathered input from the different stakeholders groups. We were working with capital region BOCES, they had an opportunity with the board, they met with administrators, they met for a variety of sessions, they met with students, and then they did a thorough review of the work that we had through tangible developments, which included a lot of feedback from families, both through in-person meetings or through virtual focus groups, but then also a survey. So they went through all of that material, and really what they were looking for were these. They were looking for what was kind of what rose to the top as areas, and then they started to put them in buckets. We have 4 goals currently through our strategic plan. It's from academic excellence, social emotional learning, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then remaining fiscally responsible as we work to achieve all of those goals. Throughout their work, they emerged with 5 priority areas, which is a little bit more and a little bit different than what we originally had in our previous strategic plan. The first one is around academic excellence, and there's also this piece of future ready learning. How are we going to continue to make sure that our kids are ready for the next piece of their academic career and looking to the future and accounting for some of that. This included things like relevant instruction, working to create a Menands school district that is a school of choice. That we offer something that families strive to move into the area for. Families move here. They do. They move here for the school district, and we want to build a model from that. Looking at strengthening instructional coherence, creates pre-K through 8, expanding opportunities, improving our instructional technology. The technology that we have today is the worst technology that's in our kids' hands, right? It's like, it's going to continue to grow and become better every day, and we need to stay on top of that and continue to progress, and then create some more real world life experiences for students within our walls. The second piece that rose to the top was our student experience, engagement, and well-being. That falls under what we call our social emotional learning goal. This work includes creating and maintaining programs that help students feel safe, connected, respected, and excited to come to school. That's what we want for every kid here at school, and that's what every family wants for their kid, right? We want them to come here and have those pieces. There was a lot in this piece around student voice. So how do we capture student voice, how do we elevate student voice, and then how do we make good on what our students are telling us? The other piece here is to continue really openly what we have in place. How do we continue to refine restorative practices? How do we continue to refine behavioral supports? How do we continue to refine the programs that we have in place to help support the social emotional learning of students? The third one was around cultural belonging and inclusive practices. A lot of these items fall into what we have currently titled as DEI. And this section builds on the work that we've already begun to do, but then it also takes it and says that diversity isn't enough, that people really need to genuinely experience belonging in the district. Right, we can aim for things and people really do feel like they belong here, but across all different kinds of groups of kids. And how do we continue to grow that feeling of belonging for our students and our staff, no matter who they are as they enter our building? One of the things that came up in one of our conversations around this was we always want people when they enter our building to have a better experience than what they would experience out in the general community, right? We want here to be a place where people want to be, they seek to come, and they feel like they belong and they have a voice within our district. A piece that came up that is within our strategic plan, but it came up enough that maybe it needs to sit alone, is around family and community partnership. How do we partner with families? How do we increase family engagement? How do we create more two-way conversation instead of delivering information to families or only hearing information from families? How do we really do that? And then along with our community partners as well. And then the final area, which I wasn't surprised because we're at a point where we are starting to implement things, is how are we going to effectively sustain what we're putting into place? Starting to think about review cycles and how do we look at what we're doing, ensure one that's working, but then also how do we continue to sustain that? So no matter who is here, no matter what kids are here, no matter what families are here, no matter what board members sit in the seats, no matter who your district leaders are, how do we sustain and keep the work that we're doing moving forward? I think one of the important pieces about this framework is that it reflects aspirations and then it's also practical in nature. So it has the two pieces, right? We want to be able to do the practical things, but then we also want to aspire to greatness, right? We want to have the best possible organization. And that's what, when I hear from families, I hear both of those items. When I hear from staff, I hear both of those items coming through. And I think that is, the feedback that we got is really where we want to live, right? That's where we want to be, both like practically what do we need to do and then what do we aspire to be. The framework is intentionally designed to connect budget development, professional development, curriculum work, facilities planning, district operations. They all need to work together. They shouldn't live in silos. In the budget season, we look at them in silos, right? Because that's how we have to look at them. But they all should be connected and they should all be working towards the same items. One piece that did come up that we haven't talked about, and this would be part of the budget workshop or a workshop that we would hold together as a Board of Education, is one, deciding we get this feedback. What are going to be our overarching goals? Those are board adopted goals. You set the vision and you set the compass for us as we move ahead. We will work with our staff and our stakeholders to figure out how to get there, right? But you really set the course for us. So that would be the first piece, is looking at district goals. The second piece is that in several occasions, folks told us our mission and vision need to be updated. So while not directly connected to the strategic planning and goals that we're going to set, we do need to have a conversation and take a look at our mission and vision. And as a board decide, is that something that we want to update? Does it reflect who we are today? Does it reflect who we aspire to be? So I will just say that will be a point of discussion. And I think that we do need to have that discussion because we asked for feedback, right? We asked for feedback, we asked for information, and those are one of the pieces that we got. So taking a look at that, I think in partnership with our stakeholder groups will be important. My guess is that our values remain. I don't think that our district mission or vision will be drastically different, right? Like our kids and our families and the work that we do here is at the center of it, but it could use an update. So next steps, what we will do. The first thing that we do is I will meet with BOCES leadership and I will go through their framework in detail with them. We will sit, we will go over it. They've given us a draft copy of the framework. We will sit and we will go over that. The second piece that we will do is then come back together with the board in a workshop session. That was a lot to say. And we will specifically be looking at goal areas. What are the goals that the board wants to adopt based on the feedback that you have been given from different stakeholder groups? And then you'll have to make some decisions about how you want to handle mission and vision. We haven't done mission and vision in quite a long time. I think the last time we looked at vision was in 2016 and mission was 2005. So again, I don't expect them to be drastically different. Like we still are who we are at core. And I would say to you, our mission doesn't try to accomplish something that isn't related to successful children, but we will take a look at that. One of the things I'll recommend that we do take a look at and how we do that. Once we do that, and once the goals are finalized, then the important work of our stakeholders will come into play. So when we look at academic goals, we are going to want to include teacher voice. And we have different teacher committees and places that we can access teacher voice. We have a math committee, we have an ELA committee, and then we would also do it on the middle school team as well, because middle school has some of its very own dynamics and pieces and parts. when we talk about the social emotional learning piece, one of the things I recommend is that we bring our MTSS committee together. That's a cross section of teachers and support service people to take a look at what we need to do in those areas, and then they'll make some recommendations. When we look at our DEI or culture and inclusion, we have a DEI committee in place, right? So we'll go to them and we'll be looking for some feedback. My recommendation is that we go to the groups that we have established that specialize in those areas and look for their specific information around implementation and how do we start to accomplish those goals that you are going to set forth for us. The parent engagement and the community involvement, we don't necessarily have an existing committee, but I will say we have PTA and we have a good relationship with the village. So we may reach out to them and look for some feedback and some ideas in those areas. And then last but not least, the sustainability piece is something that as administrators, we will talk about, like what do we put in place to sustain this? And we'll also work with MAT leadership in that area as well. So once we get to that point, then that draft plan comes in front of the board. We'll be looking for some feedback. And then once that's in place, we'll adopt our strategic plan. And it'll go to print and we'll talk about how do we start communicating, how do we start socializing that plan forward. So it, we are in the crux of it, we're in the midst of it, but I would say the heavy lift of gathering all the information from our stakeholders, that was a big piece of it because you want to take the time and you want to be able to analyze it and look at it. So now that we have that piece, we are going to be positioned to take the next couple of steps. Any questions on strategic planning? Okay, thank you.
Alright, item 4, business matters, non-action items, enclosed this information on the board are copies of the following warrants and claims auditor's report for March 2026. Anybody have any questions? Item 5, business matters, action items, contracts for approval. Can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District hereby approves the following contracts A through D as listed. Second.
Does anyone have any questions? I know this, I texted out, this came through to us today, it's just so that we can borrow voting machines from South County. They want the memorandum of agreement, just saying for borrowing machines. Anybody have any questions on it? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, action items, donations. Can I get a resolution?
Be resolved, the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District accepts the donations as listed.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'd like to thank all those organizations for those donations. We have a lot for their teacher appreciation week, and we appreciate the community for coming out and supporting our teachers. Business office action items, Fulmont Health Trust. Could I get a resolution, please?
Whereas the Fulmont Health Trust, the trust, operates as an intermunicipal cooperative pursuant to section 119-0 of the New York State General Municipal Law for the purpose of securing group health insurance for its participating public school districts in accordance with New York State Insurance Law section 4235. And whereas the Menands Union Free School District, the district, is eligible to participate in the trust, and whereas the district's Board of Education has made an independent investigation of the trust, reviewed its January 1st, 2025 trust agreement, and concluded that it would be in the interests of the district to join the trust. Now therefore be it resolved that the district hereby determines and agrees to become a member of the trust and to be bound by the trust agreement, and be it further resolved that Superintendent Jennifer Canavo be and hereby are authorized and instructed to execute the trust agreement and annex admittance and acceptance agreement on behalf of the district. And be it further resolved that the business manager be and hereby is designated to represent the district as trustee in connection with the trust, and Superintendent be and hereby is designated as alternate trustee. And be it further resolved that the custody of all joint trust monies by a single fiscal officer under the trust be and the same hereby is approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you to everyone who did all the hard work on that and brought that to our teachers and the teachers for, looking at that carefully and taking that on. That's great. Moving on to item 6, personnel matters. A, termination, can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Unified School District terminates the Shanti Threat Day effective April 24th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, letter of resignation, can I get a resolution, please?
Be resolved, the Board of Education of the Manatee Unified School District approves the resignation of Connie Marie Graham, music teacher, effective close of business June 1, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We want to thank Ms. Reyes for her time at the district. We know she's only with us a short while, and we wish her a lot as well as she steps back to help take care of her a little bit, and then her future endeavors.
I would also thank Patty Marie for her time with the district. It was big shoes to step into, a music teacher prior to Mrs. Ray was here for a long time. And she stepped in and, the December concert was fantastic. We're looking forward to a May concert. And we are certainly sorry to see her go, but also, support that she has priorities right now that she needs to take care of and, we'll support her through that transition.
Item C, letter of resignation, can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Unified School District approves the resignation of Mike Keehan, head coach, effective close of business May 29th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Talk about Mike.
Absolutely. So Chef Mike has been with the district for quite a long time. And, when he came in, he made a lot of positive changes to our menu. And he brought on food items that were a little bit more culturally relevant. Did a really nice job of offering a lot more fresh vegetables for our students. He has been really important in the process as we move to a community school that or have community eligibility so that all students were able to access free and reduced lunch. We are excited for Mike. He is able to look ahead to the second or the final 7 years or so of his career in a more of a leadership capacity. He'll be going to the state education department as part of their child nutrition unit. He'll be working with districts around compliance and being eligible and, being small, like wore a lot of hats. He did menu development, he cooked the food, he served the food, but through that menu development, he has learned a lot about the requirements through child nutrition. And he will then be able to take that knowledge and experience and be able to essentially, he's getting a promotion. And that's really what he's looking at here and be able to move on to the next stages and utilize what he's learned here to further himself professionally. So we certainly wish him the best and we will be working to replace him. Sean Slaughter, who is in the kitchen, will be working to help us through the month of June. And then we'll continue to work and we'll work to fill that position. So we certainly wish him the best.
Big shoes to fill, but we understand and wish him well in his new position. Our loss is their gain, for sure. Item D, letter of resignation, could I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Unified School District approves the resignation of Dana Carroll, cafeteria manager, effective close of business June 25th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So Mr. Dan, as he is actually known to all of our students, has been with us in the cafeteria and has been in the district for a variety of positions, whether it's helping out in the kitchen, working in the cafeteria, or coming in and pushing them up, or a dust room when we need to. Danny is a hit with our kids, and I think Danny has been talking about retiring for the last 5 years since I've been here, and this year it is for real. So Danny will be retiring. However, hold on tight because I promise you will likely see Danny as a substitute next year. I don't think they'll be able to walk away fully, but the day-to-day grind of being at work every single day is something that he's ready to put behind him and then have the ability to come in and work within our school and with our kids, but be able to do it in a capacity that maybe works a little bit more with a retired lifestyle versus being here daily.
I'd like to modify that and come up with something around. Item E, letter of resignation, can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Acton Union Free School District approves the resignation of Catherine Serzian, instructional coach, effective close of business June 25th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mrs. Necessian, she started here with us as a intern and a student teacher with Ms. Trainer. She graduated from the University of Albany and relocated to New York City where she began her teaching career. She decided to return to the area, and Katie came here in, I would say, a potpourri of possessions. She was an ENL teacher with us. She taught Spanish. She was a long-term sub. She was a first grade teacher, third grade teacher. She co-taught and was a special ed teacher at one point in time. Eventually moved into a reading position, and then when she returned from maternity leave, wanted to try and was open to trying instructional coaching. Instructional coaching teaches you a lot about yourself, and what Katie learned is that she loves to work with children. So Katie has made the decision that she wanted to go back to the classroom, which she did have the ability to do here. However, she was fortunate enough to be able to work within her home district. There are tons of benefits to working within your home district, especially when you have children who will attend school in that home district. So Katie has made a difficult decision to resign from her position here at Menands, and she will be moving to South County, where she is a resident, and she has accepted a reading position there. She will finish out the year here with us. Katie has had a host of accomplishments while she has been here as an educator. She has left an impact on a lot of students, families, and colleagues. And I am, sad to see her go, but I'm also supportive and I wish her the best as she transitions because, she will have a lot to offer to South County as well. So we wish her the best.
Thank you for assessing for our service with this person, sending her twice and multiple times and showing us.
There's 8 of them.
Item B. Item F, letter of resignation for purposes of retirement. Could I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District accepts the letter of resignation for purposes of retirement, effective close of business June 25th, 2026 for Janet Ramsey, cafeteria cashier.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So Janet Ramsey has been within our district in a variety of capacities for over 2 decades. Both of her children came through the Menands School District. I taught both of them. And she has spent quite a bit of time working here in a variety of capacities. Mrs. Ramsey has been eligible for retirement for quite a long time, but she just wasn't ready. And she said, people always told her, you'll know when you're ready. You'll just know it. And Mrs. Ramsey knows that she is ready. So she will be retiring from the district after over 2 decades worth of service. She is she's a fixture within the district. There isn't a person here that doesn't know Janet. And one of the things that I appreciate most about Janet is who Janet is every single day of the week. And she has strong opinions and a deep love of children. We are sorry to see her go. Again, though, Janet isn't going to go far. She is a district resident. I'm sure she will continue to be here for all different kinds of events. She will remain connected to the community. But we certainly wish her the best as she moves forward and starts to enjoy a little bit more time for herself outside of the workforce.
Thank you, Ms. Ramsey, for your service and hope you do enjoy retirement. Item H, consultant for transition purposes, Michael Zeman. Sorry, I missed one.
General, skip that one.
A letter of resignation for purposes of reassignment. Next.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District accepts the letter of resignation for purposes of reassignment for Patricia O'Connell, effective close of business June 30th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I want to reassure everyone, unless they panic, Trish is not doing this. does wear many hats. Not great. She'll be taking another position in the district. She will still be here, I promise. Item H, consultant for transition purposes. Michael Dean, can I get a resolution, please?
Be resolved in the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District authorize Michael Tian to act in consultant capacity as may be requested by the superintendent on an as-needed basis up to 40 hours. Such consultation shall be payable at $38 per hour.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're thank you for helping with that transition, coming back to some of the paperwork that's needed at the end of the year. That'll be helpful. Item I, personnel agenda, like a resolution.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District approves the updated personnel agenda item as attached.
Second.
It's
Okay, before we vote on this,
yes, it should be a day per day, not per week.
Excellent.
so as,
That would be
as
evil.
Tom mentioned earlier, Sean Slaughter is taking over, some of the work that Chuck Mike has been doing for us, as Chuck Mike has been doing in the school year. The salary schedule is actually going to be 50 hours a day above and beyond what he's currently making, for additional duties. So the vote will be for 50 hours a day and not just right here. We'll make it
I would just add that that rate of pay is in alignment with what we do in teaching assistants who step up for the day. And actually, the role of a teacher, we compensate them $50 per day. And I do think that Sean's position with Mike will resemble that similar arrangement. So that is really limited as far as the $50 per day setting that we would like to compensate him. And really, it's nice to have somebody who is here that can create some continuity, goes up the district, and those are kids.
Alright, does everyone understand? Does anybody have questions? Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item J, updating mentors. Could I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District approves the following mentors of the 2025-2026 school year for the MAT contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Can I just add that the board will see an additional mentor stipend next school year? Tulane Ford has started with us pretty late in the school year. And what we would like to do is she's going to be entitled to 15 hours worth of mentorship as an experienced occupational therapist. The end of the year and the beginning of the year are the hardest time to be a new employee. So what we have done is we are going to have about 7.5 hours for her available at the end of this school year, but we did want to save some of that for next school year. We just think that that will help her transition best. So it's a little bit of a different decimal percentage than you're normally seeing, but that was intentional.
Takes us to item 7, superintendent program recommendations, A, CSE, CPSE recommendations. Could I get a resolution, please?
Be resolved, the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District hereby approves the CSE, CPSE recommendations as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, substitute teachers fully cleared. Could I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District approve the substitute teachers as listed for the 25-26 school year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 9, administrative updates. I guess, keepers, all right, student matters enrollment update. Full enrollment for 25-26 school year.
Speaker.
Date is 299. Our kindergarten and pre-K.
Pre-K, I got 13 completely registered, done, ready to go. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 7 somewhere in the, I think so. If everybody gets it in, we'll be 20.
And kindergarten.
Kindergarten's hard to track because I added all my pre-K kids. I got 22 on my list right now.
Keep an eye on that. Item 9, administrative updates, superintendent's comments.
So this week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I just wanted to speak a little bit about that. Our teachers and our staff work hard over the course of the year, and this week is set aside to show our appreciation for them. I will say that Mrs. Wiley has been busy at work. Teachers will sometimes ask, what's on the agenda, and I'm like, I'm not really sure, because Mrs. Wiley took this and ran with it. And she's taking a let's just do it and ask for permission later kind of approach. And I give her a hard time because she told me about a half hour before the board was coming to end up, she's in China for study, the board's coming, first of all, okay. She's like, I'm not studying, I'm like, it's all good. But Mrs. Wiley has been working really hard to show appreciation for our teachers, and in a lot of different ways, because the work that they do is very hard. Whether it be different breakfasts, our Tuesday teacher meeting went on the road down the street to go play some video games and have some ice cream. She has games planned, Plinko list today, there's been a bingo game. The board came and delivered some thank you notes, and there are a few more things up her sleeve over the course of the week. I won't give anything away, I promise. And then when you walked in, there's a once upon a time sheet hanging. That is a photo booth for teachers, and she's been using a once upon a time theme to kind of bring the week together. I do encourage you, if you have not, to stop outside of some of the doors. She has made fairy tale pictures for each of the teachers, and then in period kind of fairy tale photographs. They're hysterical and awesome, and I would also add personalized in a lot of ways. So it's really just been a fun week to support our teachers, show them that we care, appreciate them. The kids have been doing some things for them over the course of the week. So it's a fun week. It's a positive week. We certainly appreciate our teachers over the course of the entire year, but I do think it's important to just stop and focus on that for a period of time. So thank you for all that they do, and we really do hope that you are enjoying yourselves, you have a little bit of fun, and that you understand how much we are grateful for what you do every day.
Item B, principal's comments. I did have some kids, older siblings with me, driving down Mr. Herman's door to look at his picture.
I just said that. That's why I wanted to be here halfway through.
So I'll just piggyback a little bit on what it's been on the website before I get started. I don't think anything is on here about state testing, but our teachers pulled off 2 weeks of state testing. One day did not go well, and our teachers did exceptionally well, transitioning with the kids, moving them forward. We had a state outage, and we attempted to log in multiple times, and that is very challenging for students who went to bed early, got their breakfast, got their encouraging conversation from their parent, and then they come and teachers are giving directions, and now there is open your Chromebook and log in, and you can't log in. That is very hard for our kids. It's very hard for the teachers to manage in front of the kids, and they've got to kind of keep it cool so the kids don't pick up on the panic that's going on in our office, trying to figure out what happens next, and contacting the state and all the people we've got to deal with, and the teachers are on the front lines keeping the kids calm. So thank you for that, teachers. That is not easy. After that, it went pretty well, and that takes a lot of time for teachers, getting them ready for the tests, but then just keeping the kids focused, keeping them engaged. The amount of things that teachers have put in that say, this student will do well in this seat or in this environment or in this spot, if this fidget is nearby or if this bathroom is close to them, like that is the level of thought that goes in with our teachers to get our kids ready for testing. So I want to thank them for that, because those are the little things you don't notice. You just think everyone comes in and tests and it's all fine, but they do a lot of work beforehand. So I want to thank you for that. We had our Earth Day, so teachers were doing a lot of different projects around the building to celebrate Earth Day. So we just ran around and did some pictures of some kids doing some projects. I will take this moment to thank Ms. Posey, not only for helping me with slideshows, but also through testing and also Teacher Appreciation Week. She does so much. She does a ton. So I really want to take a moment just to thank her. Students with our Earth Day projects. We did for the month of April, we did a autism acceptance month. We did a variety of different things. We did some announcements. We had some students with their devices do an announcement so the kids could hear what that sounds like. And students programmed the announcements. They programmed Pledge of Allegiance, and I think it was Greta's student, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I've heard the same announcement probably 17 times since then, because it's so fun to go back and tell me that today is April 26th and breakfast is breakfast. And even today, he was informing us that it was April 20th, whatever, and the weekend is, it's not. Everybody's speaking now.
So we did a variety of things that we did. Ms. Bruce put in a lot of work as well to give classrooms some activities to do, send things home with families, and really kind of increase our understanding, acceptance, awareness, knowledge. We did during advisory, we did some circle questions around autism, which went really well. What we're really finding with middle school students is we just start talking about things, they will start talking and they'll ask questions. And they were really great questions. And they were asking the difference between autism and other, other types of, autism is a spectrum. What does that mean? Why do they say that? And those questions are really good. And we were able to talk about that in middle school. And they were able to get to why do students in our building do this or say this? And that's what we want. We want that curiosity. So just talking about it is great. We had a spirit week. We, Ms. Bruce, I think it was Ms. Bruce, right, put together a variety of 5 days worth of different outfits to kind of represent our celebration and acceptance of autism. They had hat day. They had a unique outfit day. I can't remember all of them, but comfy day. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we enjoyed that. And thank Ms. Bruce for doing a lot of that and the classroom teachers. Our gardening club is up and running. So I believe it's right out here, right?
Mhm.
It's right out here, yep. So our gardening club is run by, remember who does that? That is Miss Calieros and Miss Bruce do that. So the students have started their planting and they're working hard out there. Miss Foley and Miss Wilson's class, they just had so much fun with their kids, and I just begged them to share pictures of them enjoying their children and teaching their children and loving on their children, and so they always share the best pictures. So I just wanted to share some of the awesome stuff that Ms. Parsons.
We were all matching.
Oh, super cute.
That was comfy cozy day. We
Yes.
yes. Yeah.
This was a field trip to, was this Wilton? I believe this was Wilton.
We went to Indian Ladder.
Oh, Indian Ladder, yes. The animal days, yep. This was pre-K. We started to see some, the baby animals.
Mhm.
Where's Prince? Where is he?
Right. I was there. We had a good time in the top right corner.
Looking like a clone.
Oh, yeah.
All three they were building volcanoes in Ms. Coughlin's 4th grade class, so they had a lot of fun experimenting and had some STEM type of activities and learning about volcanoes and the science aspect, so they enjoyed that activity. And before I I'll leave that up there for you to peruse, but I do want to thank the teachers for all of their hard work. They are the heart and soul of this building. They make it run, they make it go, they bring the love, they bring the joy, they bring the instruction, and they deserve all the flowers this week. And I hope that they get a moment to enjoy their week and get some laughter. We had bingo yesterday, and somebody in this room may have sprinted down the hallway to win. I won't share too. So they are enjoying themselves, I think. We had a good time yesterday playing video games. I want to thank the video game place. They donated that time for us to enjoy that time together. That was a fun meeting for us to have. And we also this week do a spirit wear for us. It's a secret underground spirit day every day. We only know about it as adults. The kids don't know, so it is really fun. First day was holidays, so everyone wore a different holiday outfit. Halloween, Christmas, all types of stuff, and the kids are like, "What's going on?" Today was mismatch day, but I had to be with y'all, so I didn't want to go too nuts. I had other plans, but tomorrow's beach day, so we really just try to put the light on them. The kids get a lot, and they deserve a lot because we're all here for them. And this week is about putting and giving to them and making sure they know that everything that happens is for them and with them. So thank you all. And we cannot believe we are
Mhm.
heading to field day. That ends with field day, which is crazy. We have our literacy night coming up. So that is well underway with the organization. I think that is it a spaceship team, I think, right? Space team. Yep. We have our evening of the arts, A to Z countdown. You know we're really getting there when A to Z countdown is starting. I do believe that will involve a dunk booth. And I do believe it will be a clear water dunk booth.
Yes. Planning ahead.
Memorial Day, obviously, Multicultural Fest was pushed. I think it was originally on the calendar for an earlier date, and we have it in on May 29th. I think they're still looking for people. Am I correct about that?
Mhm.
And then we have field day.
So I was saying, Mrs. Wiley has not had a sunny field day yet. So
No?
if it rains again, I think we're just gonna have to blame her.
You're right.
Yeah.
That is so true.
I think the year before she started was also raining out. So I don't think I would agree.
Well, we won't talk about the year that it was sunny and I canceled it.
Uh-huh.
Or the rainy day.
That's so true.
Thank you. All right, item 10 miscellaneous. This is a opportunity for members of the board to talk about community events or anything that you want to discuss at a future board meeting. Does anybody have anything? I have a couple things. The Scholastic Book Fair is next week for grade school students. I think they probably dropped some off today.
Mhm.
The Multicultural Fest is at the end of the month. As you mentioned, they are still looking for people around the table. If anybody is interested in hosting a kids for that event. Menands baseball has started, so if you're born on Saturday, go to the field and watch some Menands kids play baseball.
Tuesday and Wednesday nights too.
Also, Tuesday, Wednesdays. It's that night, obviously, so
That's nice.
we'll rain out tomorrow. They'll be there.
Yep.
I also wanted to say thank you to the teachers. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, and they work hard all year, not just this week. But I want to thank them for everything they do. Kids can have a bad day, well, teachers have a bad day. They kind of just gotta power through, right, and be there for the kids, and that's hard. They do show up every day, and thank you to them so much for that, and so just finally for helping show our appreciation for the teachers this year. Item 11, public comment. During public comment sessions, members of the community may address the board on agenda and non-agenda items. The board president may limit their remarks to individual speakers. Speakers should identify themselves. Okay, so do we have anything? Anybody online?
For me, just really excited, I didn't put anything but that dance was very cute and went very well.
Good.
So I just wanted to kind of say that if anyone can go, the kids seem to have a great time. It was fun. Great. So DJ did a nice job with that.
I was going to mention the middle school dance is coming up too, but I couldn't remember the date. But I'm hoping to bring Ed back to DJ again for us.
He did a great job.
I think he did a great job.
I think it's the second Friday in June. It's the Friday after field day.
Right after
Mhm.
the next board meeting. Yeah. So we'll see. Middle school dance, see how that goes, but the grades close in. comment. I think it's 12. Could I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn public session.
Second?
All in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned. We will make a